All right guys, before we put this rear subframe back into our Formula Drift car, as you can see, it's perfectly ready for it. There's nothing else to do on it but get this subframe back in. But no, we wanted to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown so you can see all the cool stuff that happens on pieces like this that are so critical to the car and how it drives and how it performs that you typically don't get to see. You might see some photos online. I mean, I guess you're watching this video online, but you know what I mean. To see it all together in one piece out of the car doesn't happen very often, not just like the pieces on the Wisefab website. The starting point, the central piece here is the MA Motorsports quick change subframe for the Z chassis. Right out of the gate, you can see some fabricated components. Brian and the guys over at MA do is they come in and they cut out this whole rear piece, plate in the sides where this factory crossover used to be, and then they have this piece laser cut out, and it's the big truss. It gives all the support, and this, you know, it's right up against the diff, maximum clearance to be able to get this into the car without too much modification to the floor, but we do have to put a little bit of a hump in the floor. You can see that right here on this chassis. So we have to give a little bit of room for it to come through because this part comes up through the top center and this right behind it so that we get the diff as high into the chassis off the ground as possible because these things do bottom out. Some of the other modifications that MA Motorsports does to the subframe to allow this winter's quick change to fit is we notch the front cross member as well. And so that gets the diff, like we said, all the way up as best as possible into the chassis. And in the front, they utilize the factory pickup mounts for the front differential mount. They make this little plate, picks up these top three on the ring pinion flange. And then, well, that's not exactly the ring pinion flange. That's the input shaft flange. You know, let's be very clear on what's happening. We get that into the car, and then we even have to clearance a little bit on here for these bolts because we run the 130 millimeter output shafts, maybe a bit overkill, but you can see just how close they get to that. It's right there. You know, like look at that. Just freaking millimeters, brother. And so, yeah, we run the 130 inner, 108 outer drive shaft shop pro axles, the biggest, beefiest ones they make. It's got the 108 CV on the outside bolted to a billet shank that goes into the hub. And then on the inside, it's the 130, which goes straight to the Winters 130 flange. You can get the Winters performance with a 108 flange as well. We just went biggest and gnarliest because it's available, right? And so we're trying to have things not break so we get the best product that we can. And so you can see the diff is actually mounted into the subframe back here off of what these are known to be for brake caliper mounts when you're building this on a hot rod, but we actually just use them as the mounting points for the differential. And it's been strong enough, we haven't had issues. Yes, there was some case issues a few years ago, but that has been since remedied just because of the difference in the foundries and the materials that were all coming in. Post 2020, it was difficult. And so everyone was trying to do what they could with the access to materials on a global scale. That's been taken care of. We have a whole new casting now with the Winters Performance rear, and we haven't had any issues with them since. The subframe itself, you can see the modifications for the quick change. And then we also used to modify these pickup points to give us better camber control. Since we are running the Wisefab kit, it actually has been noted and proven after we did some numbers and chatted with them and kind of measured it out. It's better for us to run the factory locations because this Wisefab drop knuckle rear grip setup is designed off of the factory pickup points. So we actually don't even need to modify these extra upper holes now, which is what we used to do when we ran the factory outer points and the factory upper mount so that when the, here, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, no. It just doesn't want to move. So yeah, when this thing would compress, you would get a lot of negative camber gain. So with that arm raised up, it actually helped with that so the tire would stay flatter longer in its compression stroke. And the way that the Wisefab kit changes camber is actually really cool. It's this very trick system that I would have never thought of, but it's this little washer that's got these teeth grooves in it, and you can actually flip it to do a half turn or move it a full notch, and that gives you these big changes in camber adjustment all the way out here, which is easy to get to when it's in the wheel well, and you don't have to like take this out, spin this high, and put it back in. It's just moving it out here on this one single bolt, and it doesn't change your toe alignment. It is always best to double check it, but 99% of the time that toe does not change because of how far the points are from each other. And when you're changing just this upper mount, all these lowers stay in line so your toe stays in line.
Is that what the 2 and 3 is?
Yeah, 2 is your toe. So this picks up back here. Once again, a factory pickup point we actually weld in a slug so that it does not have the eccentric anymore, and it's just a fixed point. So we're not using an eccentric bolt back here. It's just reinforced with a single hole, because once again, Wisefab's designed to have all of its control within the kit, and we're not utilizing these factory inner toe adjustment marks. We're just, pop these jam nuts loose, give it a little twist, and your toe is set. And you got to head out? Yeah. All right, dog. Be in touch.
Hey, Chris. See you.
Get out of the shot! Interrupting our shoot like that. Who does he think he is? Member of this team or something? So, Jackson again! Oh God. So we obviously run the solid bushings. These are from Part Shop Max. This little hole here is actually to hold the upper plate on there, because we have to have the upper shim to give us the stock, or within the stock tolerance of the subframe to the chassis, because we're not allowed to run the subframe fully slammed up into the chassis. So we actually have to keep it within a certain range per the FD rules. We're actually making sure that everything is square and straight. We're going to bolt those back down so that they hold up, because we will get inspected at Formula Drift Long Beach round 1. They measure from the top of the subframe to the chassis. They have notes on all the different chassis on where it's supposed to be, so that everyone is within compliance. Another little bit about the subframe, you can see another addition that MA did was down here. We got this little cross truss, if you will. Just a little 3-sided C channel. It's got 2 brakes in it, easy, bolts in here to keep the subframe from wanting to flex this way. So like when the toe rod is pushing in, especially if you're like bumping into a wall or just heavy load, we noticed in the past this would try to flex, and then you have your toe change. You're basically losing your toe in adjustment as that flexes in. So that's been a recent addition to make sure that the subframe stays strong and stays together. Another thing that we've done to keep the subframe together is these were pre-approved by Kevin at Formula Drift. We have just these little braces in here to hold these upper mounts in to be a little bit stronger in case we do have an impact. Now, although these are probably not as necessary now since we are running these factory mounts, but especially before, when we're running these upper mounts, we're having these larger slugs added in up top, because that is once again allowed within the Formula Drift rules to move your rear suspension pickup points around to try and gain some traction. And so once we move those up, we had so much more leverage on the top of this that we were actually damaging the subframes by having this collapse in, because it was just more force than was originally intended for. So we added these little plates in here, although it's not exactly necessary anymore because of the location, but it still helps regardless. Finally, on the outside, you see, let's go to the other side, because we got even more calipers over there. We're gonna go through, clean this all up. This is just fresh out of the car, and we're getting ready to do our rebuild. These are the single plane Willwood rotors. It's an aluminum center hat, single plane rotor. And the biggest thing about this kit is that it's very, very lightweight. And that's because it's got the aluminum hat and it has a single plane. So most rotors come with a dual plane vented type rotor, especially in the front of a vehicle. There's still a lot of vehicles that have a single plane rear, but then the center is usually still out of that same material. So it's a very heavy piece. So having the aluminum center with this on the outer edge, you actually have a lot less rotating weight, and we do not need so much braking ability, which means not just the clamping force, which we do get, but it's mostly about the heat displacement. So we're trying to get heat off the rotors so that you can brake harder, longer. That's the typical road racing setup. If you go look at our GTZ, we got that Z1 package. It's like a 15-inch rotor. The rotor's like, 1.5 inches wide. I mean, that's exaggerating, but it's mega. And that's because it's just more material, it's more leverage, more clamping force, more venting, and you can just ride those brakes from 150 down to 20 into a hairpin. With this, we're not doing that. We're just locking them up and getting back on the gas. So it's a really cool setup, and we've been running it for years, very, very long time, and with very good success with it. On here, you see we have dual calipers, of course, as you all probably know by now. One's for the foot brake, one's for the handbrake, and we actually built our own in-house adapters for this kit. So this is a bolt-on 350Z, 370Z, and even late Z adapter package for the Willwood single plane rotor kit with a caliper.
What does it look like outside of the...
It looks like this outside the box, Rushard. Here's the rear bracket. And you would run this on the 2 sides if you have dual brackets to the factory location, like what a Wisefab rear knuckle has, or actually have this one that would actually hang it off the bottom of the car, like a this car, if you run a factory rear knuckle, which this car is still on a factory rear knuckle. So you see the calipers down on the bottom side, so this picks up off of the park and brake bolts, hangs the caliper upside down. And then this is the one for the front. So once again, bolts to the front, gives you the Willwood placement, and then you can get all of that together, bolt on, no modifications to run the single plane lightweight Willwood setup on the Z chassis. To top it off, of course, stainless brake lines. And we just started recently running the dry brake system, so we can knock this subframe out, click these off, and then click the new ones in, and you don't have to rebleed. You don't have to do the old down, closed. We all know that. That is the entire rear package on our Nissan Z rear subframe with the Winters quick change, with the Wisefab control arm kit, and the drop knuckle, and the Willwood brake package, with, of course, the Forsberg Racing adapters.